Καλό σας απόγευμα. Καλώς ήρθατε. Μπορούμε σιγά σιγά μόλις διαλέξετε τις θέσεις σας να αρχίσουμε. Είναι 4 session το ένα μετά το άλλο και πρέπει να είμαστε πάρα πολύ αυστηροί, να τηρήσουμε το χρονοδιάγραμμα για να μπορούν και οι ομιλητές μέσα σε αυτό το λίγο χρόνο που έχουν να αναπτύξουν τα θέματα και τις απαντήσεις στα ερωτήματα που θα τους θέσουμε. Καλώς ήρθατε. Καλό σας απόγευμα. Θα αρχίσουμε από τον κύριο Jibril. Welcome, Mr. Jibril. Shaping the future of the Middle East. Shall we first see where we stand? I mean, it will be very useful to make an update for the Middle East. You can use this.
Okay, good evening, everybody. First of all, a word of thanks and gratitude for Delphi Forum for the kind invitation. It's great to be here, you know. I will raise a few remarks as a futurist. First of all, a conceptual note. I can't help seeing there is a lot of mix-up taking place for those who talks about the future between the concept of trends and the concept of drivers of history. There is a huge difference between the two. Drivers of history are totally different in terms of impact and durability in the future. Their impact and magnitude of impact is very, very huge. It's a global. While trends can be regional and can be national. For a strategist, trends are very important. But for somebody who wants to build a vision for a country, it's the drivers of history, which should matter to him. You know. Having said this, I will focus my remarks on the main drivers of history, which I think will shape more or less the future of our humanity till the end of this century. The first one, which we talked about extensively yesterday, is demography. Demography is going to be the most crucial driver of history. And when we talk about demography in particular, it's not a question that the world population will exceed 10 billion by the year 2050. The most important issue is that the most exponential increase is going to take place in Africa. And when we talk about Africa, we talk about the implication for that for Europe. Africa is going to be the crux of the matter in the next 25 years, whether we like it or not. And for those who talk about drivers of history, they don't only mention Africa, they also mention this eternal, irreversible driver of history, which is the marriage between technology and capital. This marriage between technology and capital is very crucial. If you look today at any index, you will find that those who are taking first priority in ranking, it's Apple, it's Google, it's IBM. It's not a production company as it used to be during the industrial age. What we should concern ourselves with, whether in this forum, and I'm sorry to say that, or even in Davos or in Crans-Montana, because what matters is the interaction between the drivers of history, not only because most of the sessions that I witnessed, whether in Davos, whether in Crans-Montana, and some of those sessions here, we talk as silos. Either we talk about demography and isolation of the other drivers of history, or talk about the other drivers in isolation of demography. Having said this, I will give some examples. The marriage, the eternal marriage, irreversible marriage between capital and technology has resulted in two issues. First, the knowledge age, which we talk about, the connectivity phenomena. But most importantly, is the ultra-symbolic economy. That's the economy which is concerned by stock markets, your share in the market, a transfer of money from one stock market to another, from Nikkei in the East, to Wall Street in New York City. These are that matters because the speedy change that's taking place, the speedy transfer of this money is taking place without the intervention, without any interference from human beings. You, as a billionaire, by a hit of a button, your laptop, you can change whatever amount to try to capitalize on the time difference between Beijing, for instance, or Tokyo, and Wall Street in New York City. You can transfer back and forth without the intervention of the bank. This was the real problem, the real cause behind the financial crisis which took place in 2008. Simply because the international financial system, which we have inherited after World War II, that's 1947 agreement, has resulted in World Bank and IMF. Our systems, financial systems, our financial structures are not fit for today's speedy movement of money around the globe. Therefore, there is a huge gap between what was taking place in the industrial age, when money used to create more food, manufacture more products in the market. Today, money creates money. The implication for this, for demography, is that population is increasing while the food is decreasing. Therefore, there is a prediction that in the years during the 20s, not far away, there is going to be some starvation, especially in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, whether we like it or not. Just 2 years ago, 821 millions are suffering from hunger in sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia, while 2.1 billion are suffering from obesity, overweight. This is, we are talking about the inclusive, sustainable growth in the world. No, inequality is increasing. The gap is increasing because the type of the new economy is not compatible with this huge increase in population of the world population. The other implication for this, when we talk that no less than 359 million Africans by the year 2050 will be marching north looking for jobs. And most probably, they're going to be marching through Libya, in particular because it's the lowland. Because Libya, you have increase in population our east, have increase in population our west, and our south. Unfortunately, in Libya, the population growth is decreasing, not increasing. It's a huge country. It's the third largest country in the Arab world with a huge amount of wealth and only 6,300,000 people. Therefore, whether we like it or not, there is going to be either an incursion from the south or from anywhere into the Libyan soil in a matter of 5 to 10 years. This is unless some solutions are taken. When I talk about 359 million Africans, that means the European policies taking against what's called illegal immigration or international organized crime are not sufficient, are not the right policies, simply because they are not dealing with the grassroots cause of this flood. If that's the real curative, the real treatment, I think for European countries who believe in this, they better cut their bullets because 359 millions are going to exceed whatever bullets you have in your stockpile of weapons. Therefore, the real treatment of this is to have the real developmental projects on African soil, real transformation of African labor, so those Africans can fit the shortage of skilled labor in Europe, because Europe will be aging, not only aging, also shrinking by the year 2050, no less than 72 million less than the current population today. If we take the picture a little bit wider, we will discover that by the year 2050, not only Europe will be shrinking, China will be aging. For those who are optimistic that China will assume a first rank economy in the world by the year 2030, by the year 2050, no less than 330 million Chinese will be over the age of 65 years old. Not only China, Japan, by the year 2050, only 28 of the Japanese population will be within the category of the working force. Not only Japan, the United States of America, 2030, not 2040, 20% of its population will be over the age of 65. Interestingly enough, it's for the first time of American history that this number is exceeding the number of American children, which means that the discrepancy is going to be widening day by day. What are the implications for the global economy, for those who are forecasting and predicting the continuous sustainable growth of the world economy? Unless we take the type of economy we have, the real drivers of history, and take demography at the heart of the problem, because this is the labor force. Most of the Chinese projects and the Chinese economy is dependent on intensive labor projects. If there's going to be a shortage, that means it's going to be a serious problem for the Chinese economy, and this problem is going to start surfacing starting from 2035. The Chinese population will be peaking by the year 2029. It's going to reach 1,440,000,000 human beings. But starting from that point, the deterioration in the growth, or the percentage of population growth, will start taking effect. What I'm trying to say is that the problem of illegal immigration is going to intensify for the Europeans. And when I talk about the illegal immigration problem, I am talking about terrorism. So terrorism, I don't believe that refugees and illegal immigrations are human rights issues. They are political issues. Because if we don't deal with those problems seriously at the grassroots causes, we're going to have a terrorist problem, and it's going to be blowing out of our control. Therefore, some rethinking, some rereading of the premises of the policy, especially in those European circles which think that Libya, for the time being, can be an alternative homeland for the Africans. That's not going to be a solution, because I know that no less than 3 European circles are moving in this direction, and this is not going to solve the problem. Because the problem, in terms of magnitude and scope, it's much, much larger. Just think of 360 million Africans and compare it to the total population of the whole Europe. We are talking about more than 2/3 of the population of Europe will be marching north into European soils. Therefore, for the Europeans, it's not only a strategy that works with it, it's a vision. A new European vision is needed. And when you're going to do this, you need some sort of strategic alliance with those Arab leaders who think the same way, who can join hands to find a better solution for the problem for the benefit of both continents. If we don't do this, African and Arab leaders and European leaders join hands to develop a better vision for both continents, then we're going to be heading for the clash of the Titanics. And God forbid, I hope that doesn't happen. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.